I tell you what, Linda, if I were CEO of this company, I'd be worried. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Jim, for the invitation to be here today, and Linda for the warm welcome today. And Congressman Sewell, Woman Sewell, thank you for all you do for the people of the state and the country and for your friendship, our friendship. I wanted to come down to Alabama to make sure that the American people know what work is this. And by the way, you have a seat, please take it. By the way, sometimes the press is always fair with me, but every once in a while I make a mistake, not like once a speech, but at any rate, years ago when I started talking to this for this job, I said, please take your seats. There weren't any seats, everyone was standing, there were no chairs. So I just want to make sure I check whether you had seats. Look, the American people know what work at this facility you're doing and support Ukraine's fight for freedom. And the bottom line is I came to say thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the reason I'm here. I've been in those battlefields where these missiles are fired, and I spent a lot of time going in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan, maybe a total of 40 times. And I tell you what, I've been in Ukraine a lot prior to the war and on the border since the war. And it's amazing what you've done. We see on the news every single day the atrocities and the war crimes that are being committed by Russian forces in Ukraine, directed by Vladimir Putin. And it really is gut-wrenching. We see the incredible bravery of the Ukrainian fighters defending their country with everything they have. It's people in the street. People in the street staying behind. A lot have gotten out, 5 million, but a lot are staying, including women as well as men, staying to fight for their country. And we know that the United States is leading our allies and partners around the world to make sure the courageous Ukrainians who are fighting for the future of their nation have the weapons and the capacity and ammunition and equipment to defend themselves against Putin's brutal war. A lot of war crimes being committed. But what we don't always see, is the work that that makes so much of this possible. And that's you. It's not hyperbole, it's you. You make it possible. You make it possible for them to have a shot. You know, during World War II, the United States was known as the arsenal of democracy. There was Rosie the Riveter, who I actually got to meet, quite frankly, before she passed away, and a lot of people who, in fact, kept it going. I was a slight digression. I went over for the 50th anniversary of the end of World War II, and I was in Normandy, and I went up afterwards with to the cemetery, and I was walking by myself, and it's incredible. It's immaculate. It's perfectly manicured, and the headstones are all the same. I looked down one row, and I saw 3 names, same names, father and 2 sons, who had died in the landing. And I was bent down, and I was reading the dates of their births. And all of a sudden, I heard behind me a tinge, up! And I turned around, and there was a gentleman who had to be in his early 80s in a wheelchair, being wheeled by his son, who was a big guy, looked like Hoss Cartwright. My dad used to have an expression. He said, the only war worse than one that's intended is one that's unintended. You're allowing the Ukrainians to defend themselves. And quite frankly, they're making fools of the Russian military in many instances. A big part of the reason they've been able to keep up fighting and to make this war a strategic failure for Russia is because the United States, together with our allies and partners, have had their back. The United States alone has committed more than 5,500 javelins to Ukraine. You're changing the nation. You really are. Add to that significant supplies from our allies and partners, as well as many thousands of other anti-tank and anti-air weapons, helicopters, armored vehicles, artillery, coastal defense systems. Before Russia attacked, we made sure Russia had javelins and other weapons to strengthen the defenses so Ukraine was ready for whatever happened. In the last 2 months, we continue to move even more resources and equipment at a rapid pace into Ukraine. We've made sure that there are no interruptions in the flow of equipment to Ukraine. Since Russia invaded Ukraine just over 2 months ago, we have sent more than $3 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. Alone, us, not counting our allies. And that money is a direct investment in defending freedom and democracy itself. Because if you don't stand up to dictators, history has shown us they keep coming. They keep coming. Their appetite for power continues to grow. And every worker in this facility and every American taxpayer is directly contributing to the case for freedom. And that's something we can all be incredibly proud of, in my opinion.